Thank you for being here. My name is Sherry Coble, and I'm a member of the Bethany Lutheran Church Foundation Board. And with us today is Pastor Gary Sandberg, head pastor at our church, and Carol Haller, who is the chair of the Bethany Lutheran Foundation. So let's just get right into it. What is the Bethany Lutheran Foundation, Pastor, and how did it get started?
It got started by some people who got together and wanted another giving stream, as well as then another stream where we can support agencies within our community. It then developed into being able to hand out scholarships, gifts, and grants to those going to Lutheran colleges, and now any of those colleges connected with the ELCA. So it really started when people said there's a way that we can express generosity beyond simply what you might almost call the confines of the local congregation, but how do we expand that in particular ways?
Well, expanding it is important, and I think we'll get a little into that further. Why is it different from another fund of benevolence that supports the missions of the church? How is it different?
It's different in that this is a foundation, so that the gifts that you give, we only use the proceeds to benefit. So as the foundation grows in its principle, it gives us more and more to hand out each and every year. So in that way, your gifts to the foundation turn around in gifts in perpetuity, which is a wonderful way to express not only gifts for today, but then particularly when you want gifts to outlast your own giving potential of your lifetime, the foundation allows that opportunity to come forth.
So different from the Bethany Fund, which we have a budget for annually.
Sure, the Bethany Fund supports the daily operations of the congregation, which are really important. All of the programs, all of the staff, all of our beautiful campus, all supported through the Bethany Fund. But the foundation then allows us to reach beyond Bethany Lutheran Church, and as a church, support the greater community.
Carol, what have you learned or enjoyed while chairing this board?
I didn't know a lot about the Bethany Foundation until I was invited to be a part of it, a part of the board, before I became the chair. It's a nonprofit, so it's its own nonprofit organized under, we've heard about it, 501c3, so it has a different tax benefit than a church does. There are ways to give to a 501c3 that are a little bit different than giving to the church. I've enjoyed it because I've learned a lot about the foundation, what it's meant to do, and who it benefits. I've often said that I am much better at working with people rather than working with numbers, but what a joy to work on a board where what you do is give out money. It's a very wonderful way to express yourself. And I would follow up on some of the things that Pastor said regarding the Bethany Foundation. As a 501c3, it was very forward-thinking that people in our church said, we want a different stream for our generosity. We want to support our church, which they did, and we do. But we want another stream where we can even express it more broadly to other people. We have over $1 million in an endowment. We give out over $50,000 a year in scholarships and grants. It's so exciting to go to those meetings where you have the requests from people in our community, individuals and groups that want to do wonderful things. And sometimes it's just between $500 and $2,000 to do something wonderful that they've conceived of. And the ability to say, yes, let's see this happen. It just is a very, it just makes you feel very good about being a part of it.
How would someone go about, and maybe talk a little bit about the scholarship and who are the qualified applicants for a scholarship? What are we looking for? And how would they go about seeking an application to apply for that?
We take applications for scholarships, usually in the spring, so that the person can have the scholarship for the fall semester. We support seminarians, people going to seminary, and also college students going to ELCA or church-affiliated groups that are in common communion with the ELCA.
Okay.
So there are a number of those, but we have given out up to 4 years of support for college students, and the same for seminarians. As long as they're in the seminary, they can apply year after year, and the amounts you know, they're significant in my mind. They're over $1,000, so they're significant. And the students are genuinely just so thrilled to be supported by their church.
Gary, is this a normal funding opportunity that a church has, a foundation that?
Yeah, normal, that's a good question.
Yeah,
So
right.
in some larger congregations, there are typically foundations, but most congregations don't. That would be what you would say. What I think Bethany did years ago was, as Carol already mentioned, was think ahead. Let's already plan our future well before we're there. That's really what a foundation does for us, not just in what we experience within the congregation, but the generosity we know that we'll experience for the future. So I think Bethany is somewhat uniquely poised with its foundation to be able to have the potential resources that will allow us to continue to expand and think about those areas where the church may not be supporting now, but what are certainly going to be opened up into our future, because the people of Bethany are generous people, and the ability to take that out to another generation of, a new generation of generosity, you might say, is really right in our midst.
Carol, you talked to us about the scholarship applicants. As far as the grants that we provide, we've made a little bit of a change in the last year in how we've described those who would be eligible to apply. Can you expand on that?
We used to, our bylaws and articles of incorporation used to limit our ability to help organizations that were Christian, meaning that they were somehow religiously affiliated. And we realized we were getting requests from groups that didn't have a religious affiliation, but were certainly carrying out the work that Christ exhorted us to carry out, to care for the mentally ill, to care for the homeless, to care for people who need a helping hand from someone who can offer that helping hand. So we changed it to be groups or individuals who are carrying out the mission of Christ, as opposed to having to be religiously based in their organization.
Before we get into how our congregation watching this video can help and support, do you have either of you want to mention any of the groups that we have supported recently in the past?
One of the groups we've supported with our grants is Bethany Lutheran Church.
I did want to mention that.
Good, excellent.
You know, we have a matrix, a decision-making guide that helps us know where to put our money first, second, third. And one of our major efforts is to support the church in ways that the general fund isn't necessarily designed to support them. We've supported the church in having a leadership tuition paid by the Bethany Foundation for church leaders to go to a leadership institute. We've tried to fund a theologian in residence. We hope to do that in the future.
We hope that that's still on the books for October of 2023 now. Well, 2022 maybe.
Okay. We also were very fortunate to be able to fund improvements to our infrastructure with the cameras that were so important during COVID. We've always been an online church, but the camera enhancement made the online presence just so much more vibrant, I think.
I think that's just another way the foundation looks to the future. They don't just look to the future of what can happen in our community. They also look to the very future of Bethany Lutheran Church itself and get us to the future sooner than we could simply through the Bethany Fund. There are opportunities that we can present here based on the generosity of the foundation that benefit everybody.
Externally, we've helped other groups, for example, groups that help chronically mentally ill people become more independent and have specific goals and groups that they can attend. So we funded some of those. We fund the Mothers of Preschool group every year with some funds so that they can pay for childcare while the mothers are meeting in community. There's probably a list as long as my arm of the different kinds of groups we've supported over the years.
What is the easiest way for our members of our congregation to find Bethany Lutheran Foundation on the website?
Well, you can go to the bethany-denver.org website and type in Bethany Foundation. I'm not sure exactly what you'd get. We are under a tab called
Resources.
Affiliates and resources. There's a couple ways to get to it.
Actually, if you type in Bethany Foundation, I did it today, it does come up. It's
Yeah.
not a pull down under
No,
one
it
of
is
the
not.
headings,
No.
but, it's, maybe we'll be able to get something across the bottom.
So it's affiliates and it's resources.
Resources. Part of that is, the Bethany Foundation it's a separate 501c3 from the
Right.
congregation. That gives it the autonomy that a foundation needs to have. But that's why in our website, you do find it in a place with other organizations that are affiliated
Like
with the
Bethany
church.
Early Childhood Center is also
Right.
in that same list. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Finally, how can the congregation help us in our efforts with Bethany Lutheran Foundation? We have multiple ways that they could support us. Do you want to help?
Sure, gifts can come in at
Yes.
any time. Anybody
So
can give a gift to the
donations.
foundation, donations, monetary. There are always ways that people can say, there are worthy organizations in our Denver metro area that we may not be aware of. If you serve on the board, if you serve on a committee of a God-pleasing organization, let us know. Or submit a grant application, a gift application to us, because we do like supporting those places where our people are already involved as well. And then, of course, when it comes to financial estate planning, it's always a great way to look at a foundation as a potential source of some of your estate giving.
And encourage likely college-bound students to consider Lutheran colleges or affiliated colleges and consider applying for the scholarships. There are at least 3 people on the board currently who attended Lutheran schools. And I know there's also another one who attended a Lutheran school near me, and there's another one behind the camera. So we have a good background of people who supported the Lutheran schools with their own attendance, but also may encourage our parishioners to go to that school as well.
And this is an elected position, but maybe encourage our congregation members to self-identify as wanting to serve on this board, because I agree with you, it's delightful to see our work and happening in progress out there.
That's true. If you serve on the
Yes.
board, you get to give out money.
Yeah.
It's a very nice thing to do. The November meeting where we give out the grant funds, usually over $40,000, is just such a joyous time of thinking about how the money is going to go to the people who need it. It's just heartwarming. And then we often get the thank you notes that get passed around. Thank you for the scholarship to the college I'm attending. Thank you for funding my nonprofit. This is what I did with it. It's just a very feel-good thing to do for your church, or for your foundation, not necessarily for your
Yeah,
church,
that's
for
right.
both.
Thank you very much.